to the roofs," he observed to a bystander. "That's a fearfo sight, that gallows. Yo han been up to t' toll houses to take a look at it, belike?" "No, no, ey dunna loike such sights," replied Ruchot o' Roaph's. "Besides, there wur a great rabblement at t' gate, and one o' them Lunger's archer chaps knocked me up nob wi' a pike, and towd me he'd hong me wi' t' abbut if ey didna keep out o' t' way." "And sarve to reet too, the crunnly carle," cried Ashbead, doubling his horny fists. "Odds flesh! why didna yo ha' a tussle wi' him? My honts are itching for a bout wi' t' heretic robbers. Well a day! well a day! That we should live to see t' holy feythers driven like hummer bees out o' t' own nests. Why, they say'n that King Harry had declared there were to ha' no more monks o' friars i' all Englandshire. Only think o' that! And dunna yo know that t' Abbots o' Jervaux and Salley were honged o' Tize's day at Lancaster Castle?" "Good Lord just bless us!" exclaimed a sturdy hind. "When the protty king first he chops off his wife's head, and then hongs aw t' priests. What'll t' world come to?" "Eh, bite mess, what win it come to?" cried Ruchot o' Roaph's. "But we darena oppen our mouths for fear o' a Gog." "No, belady, boh ey stoppen mine wide enough," cried Ashbead; "and if a dozen o' yo chaps win join me, ey'n try to set poor Abbot free when they brings him here." "Ey'd as lief bide till to morrow," said Ruchot o' Roaph's, uneasily. "Eh, thou art a timorsome tyke, as ey towd te efore," replied Ashbead. "But what dost thou say, Hal o' Nabs?" he added, to the sturdy hind who had recently spoken. "I han spilt t' last drop o' my blood i' t' owd abbot's cause," replied Hal o' Nabs. "We winna stand by and see him honged like a dog. Abbot Paslew to t' rescue, lads!" "Ay, Abbot Paslew to t' rescue!" responded all the others, except Ruchot o' Roaph's. "This must be prevented," muttered a voice near them, and immediately afterwards a tall man quitted the group. "Wha wur it spoke?" cried Hal o' Nabs. "Oh, ey seen that he witch, Nick Demdike." "Nick Demdike here!" cried Ashbead, looking round in alarm. "Has he overheerd us?" "Like enow," replied Hal o' Nabs; "boh ey didna moind him efore." "Nor ey neither," cried Ruchot o' Roaph's, crossing himself, and spitting on the ground. "Our Lady o' Whalley shield us fro' t' warlock!" "Talking o' Nick Demdike," cried Hal o' Nabs, "yo howd a strange adventure wi' him i' t' neet o' t' great brass to Pendle Hill, hadna yo, Cuthbert?" "Yeigh, t' firrups tak him if ey hadden," replied Ashbead. "Thou'st hear aw about it, if t' will. Ey wur sent by t' abbot down t' hill to Owen o' Gab's, o' Perkins o' Dannels, o' Knowles o' Humphrey's Orchard, i' Worston Lane, to look efter him. Weel, when ey gets ower t' stone wall, what dun yo think ey sees? 20 or 30 pikemen standin' behind it, and they dashes at me as thick as a sleeter, and efore ey con roar out, they blindfoldet me, and clap a nine gog i' my mouth. Well, ey con neither speak nor see, boh ey con use my feet, so ey punches at 'em reet and left, and, by my troth, lads, yo'd ha' loiked to hear how they roared, for ey should ha' roared too, if ey could'n, when they began to thwack me wi' their raddling pows, and ding me so about the head that ey fell back i' a swound. When ey come to, ey wur lying on my back i' Rimington Moor, every bone i' my hide racked, and my hair wur clotted wi' gore, boh t' bond and gag wur gone. So ey gets to my feet, and daddles along as well as ey con, when aw at once ey spies a leigh glenting afore me, and a douncing about like an orfra or will o' the wisp. Thinks ey that's Friar Rush and his lantern, and he'll lead me into a quagmire. So ey stops a bit to consider where ey'd gotten, for ey didn't know t' reet road exactly. But when ey stood still, t' leet stood still too, and then ey made out that it come from an owd ruint tower, and what ey'd fancied wur one lantern proved 20, for when ey reached t' tower, and peeped in through a broken window, I beheld a sight I'd ne'er forget. A pack of witches ay, witches sitting in a ring, with their broomsticks and lanterns about 'em." "Good Lorjus days!" cried Hal o' Nabs. "And what else didst thou see, mon?" "Why," replied Ashbead, "t'owd hags had a little figure i' the midst of 'em, moulded o' clay, representing Tabby o' Whalley. I knowed it by t' mitre and crosier. And after each o' t' varmint had stuck a pin in its heart, a tall black mon stepped forward, and tied a cord round its throttle, and honked it up." "A black man!" cried Hal o' Nabs, breathlessly. "T' black mon wur Nick Demdike?" "Yo'n guessed it," replied Ashbead. "'Twere he. I wur so gluppant ey couldna speak, and my blood froze i' my veins. When ey heerd a fearfo voice, ey asked Nick wheere his wife and chilt were. 'The infant is unbaptised,' roart t' voice. 'At the next meeting it must be sacrificed. See that thou bring it.' Demdike then bound to summat ey couldna see, and asked when t' next meeting wur to be held. 'On the night of Abbot Paslew's execution,' answered t' voice. On hearing this ey could bear no longer, but shouted out, 'Witches! Devils! Lord deliver us from you!' and as I spoke I tried to burst through t' windaw. In the trice all t' leets went out. There wur a great rush to t' door, a whirring around the air like a covey of partridges fleeing off, and then I heard nowt more, for a great stone fell on my sconce, and knocked me down senseless. When I come to, I wur in Nick Demdike's cottage, wi' his wife waiting ower me, and the unbaptised chilt in her arms."
All exclamations of wonder on the part of the rustics, and inquiries as to the issue of the adventure, were checked by the approach of a monk, who, joining the assemblage, called their attention to a priestly train slowly advancing along the road. "It is headed," he said, "by Fathers Chatburn and Chester, late bursars of the Abbey. Alack! alack! they now need the charity themselves which they once so lavishly bestowed on others." "Waes me!" ejaculated Ashbead. "Mony a broad merk ha' ey gotten fro' them." "They've been kind to us aw," added the others. "Next come Father Burnley, granger, and Father Haworth, cellarer," pursued the monk, "and after them Father Dinkley, sacristan, and Father Moore, porter." "Yo remember Feyther Moore, lads?" cried Ashbead. "Yeigh, to be sure we done," replied the others. "A good mon, a reet good mon. He never sent away t' poor, neaw he." "After Father Moore," said the monk, pleased with their warmth, "comes Father Forrest, the procurator, with Fathers Read, Clough, and Bancroft, and the procession is closed by Father Smith, the late prior." "Down o' your whirly bones, lad, as t' holy feythers pass," cried Ashbead, "and crave their blessing." And as the priestly train slowly approached, with heads bowed down, and looks fixed sadly on the ground, the rustic assemblage fell upon their knees, and implored their benediction. The foremost in the procession passed on in silence, but the prior stopped, and, extending his hand over the kneeling group, cried in a solemn voice "Heaven bless ye, my children. You are about to witness a sad spectacle. You will see him who hath clothed you, fed you, and taught you the way to heaven, brought hither a prisoner, to suffer a shameful death." "But we'st set him free, holy prior," cried Ashbead. "We'n made up our minds to it. You just wait till he comes." "Nay, I command you to desist from the attempt, if any such you meditate," rejoined the prior. "It will avail nothing, and you will only sacrifice your own lives. Our enemies are too strong. The abbot himself would give you like counsel." Scarcely were the words uttered, than from the great gate of the Abbey there issued a dozen arquebussiers, with an officer at their head, who marched directly towards the kneeling hinds, evidently with the intention of dispersing them. Behind them strode Nicholas Demdike. In an instant